there, folks. Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you can make it because in today's episode, we're going to be tackling another sandwich in my sandwich obsession. The sandwich we're going to be making is the McDonald's McRib. And just to be clear, I am not calling the sandwich that we're making in today's video the McDonald's McRib because that would just be disrespectful. To who? I'll let you guys decide at the end of this video. And if I had to be completely honest, I don't want to deal with another cease and desist like I got from Hormel regarding our spam episode. Really? All right, today's barbecue rib sandwich is incredibly interesting. And if we want this to be a home run, we're going to have to nail three elements: the patty, the sauce, and the bread. Let's do it. For today's sandwich, we're going to be using a combination of meats, starting with rib meat. You know you got to have a little pork belly in a rib sandwich. The description box below will have a link to a printable recipe. Adjustable quantities, the whole thing, you know the deal. This pork belly is going to give us a lot of the fat that we're looking for, but we do want to balance it out. So before we get into the rest of it, we're just going to cut this up into pieces that are small enough to fit into our grinder. And as you'll see, we're going to be treating this a lot like a sausage. Next up, we're going to be using a little pork shoulder. What we're going for is something like a 65-35 lean to fat ratio, a little bit fattier than normal, so we're going to have to add a little extra back fat. All right, so pork belly, pork shoulder, back fat. This is what it looks like once it's all processed. We're going to be making roughly about 25 pounds, give or take, after it's all said and done. But we do want to chill it before we grind it. So into the freezer it goes while we take a look at our grinding plate. I'm going to grind this on a 6mm plate, nothing too coarse, nothing too fine, and I do want to make sure that the plate is sharp, so the little holes should feel like they're grabbing my finger. I also want to spritz the plate with a little oil to reduce the amount of friction between the knife and the plate. So the side that the knife touches, that's going to have a little oil, and then I'm also going to spritz the auger, the very end of the auger, the part that goes into the machine, little oil on that, and once again, simply to reduce the amount of friction, which will reduce the amount of heat. That's just a couple little tips that's going to give you a cleaner grind, a better product. When it comes to the temperature of the meat when you grind it, you want it below 36 Fahrenheit. Quick temp check shows that we are at 30 F. Okay, no problem. You don't want it frozen solid. Frozen solid is not good. Your grinder is going to shave the meat in cases like that, which will lead to fat smear. We're using the number 32 grinder from the sausage maker to make this happen. Great looking grind. Very pleased with the way this came out. So let's set this to the side and look at our spices, starting with salt, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika, chili flakes, chili powder, some mustard powder, savory, of course, some cumin, oregano, dark brown sugar, and some potato starch as a binder. We're going to give that a mix. Now we're going to be doing a very low and slow smoke actually on this rib patty. So in our particular situation, we're going to add a little Instacure number 1. If you're just going to cook this on the grill, you don't need to add Instacure number 1 because it's going to cook a lot faster. In our case, it's going to take several hours, so we do want to add a little layer of protection into our spice blend right here. We're also going to add a little liquid to this mix, apple juice, roughly 10%. Now you can add beer, water, chicken stock. You can add cream, although each one is going to give it its own unique flavor. I think apple juice is going to be perfect for what we're trying to go for. Let's mix everything together. Now, if you want to make this a little spicy, you can add a little cayenne pepper to the recipe. Matter of fact, I'll put that as an optional ingredient in the recipe link. I'm using a 20-liter planetary mixer to bring everything together. This is going to happen very quickly. So in with the dry spices, and then we're going to come back with our liquid. I want the texture of our sandwich to be a very similar texture to that of a sausage. So that's why we're treating this recipe as such. In this 20-liter planetary mixer, you could do 25 pounds of mincemeat, but if you try to put 25 pounds in it at the beginning, you're going to have meat shooting out of the top. So what I like to do is put about 20 pounds in first, get all the spices in there, about half the liquid, mix it up really good, and then come back and add the rest of the mincemeat, which is what we're doing right here. So now that that's mixed, we're going to turn the unit off, add the final 5 pounds of mincemeat, and then turn it back on, finish the mixing process, add the remainder of the liquid. Absolutely perfect. And this just keeps all the extra meat from shooting out of the top while it's mixing. We are mixing this on a low speed, so this is the 1 setting on the planetary mixer. And even on the number 1 setting, this is going to come together usually within about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. All right, all the liquid's in, all the spices are in. It smells incredible. We're looking for a very sticky, look at that, very tacky farce. If you grab a small handful of it, it will stick to the underside of your hand if you turn your hand upside down. Absolutely perfect. Here we go. Hang there all day long. Okay, now that we're done, I'm going to transfer this to a container, cover it with cling film, and then place it in the refrigerator overnight. I want the cure to do its job. And so that's what we're going to do right here. This whole entire bin is going to go into the fridge, and tomorrow morning, we're going to finish the process. Okay, it's now the next day, and we're going to form our patties. Now, technically speaking, you can form your patties the night before, but it is going to take up a lot of space. This is, in my opinion, the easiest way to do it. I like 6-ounce patties. You could do yours 8-ounce, half-pound patties. You could do 4-ounce. It's really up to you, but for me, 6-ounce is perfect. Now we need to form our patties, and what I want is for the patty to be the length of my hand, from the top of my middle finger to the base of my palm, which is 7 inches. And then I want the width of the patty to be the distance between my thumb and my hand, which is 3 inches. So I'm just basically going to be using my hand to measure each one of these patties. You don't have to make your patties like this. I will admit it's a bit labor intensive. You can just make them like burger patties if you really wanted to, but we're going to do this to kind of create that classic rib patty shape. And there we go. There's one. I'm going to do a couple more here so you can see the process. Notice I'm using a Silpat mat. It doesn't matter what kind of mat you're using. You can technically use parchment paper or wax paper if you want. And this just so it doesn't stick. So we're going to even it out, measure it with our hand. Perfect. There we go. One more time. I want to make sure that it's uniformly even as far as thickness goes. Measure it with the hand. Excellent. All right. Now that we're done, these are going to go into the freezer. They're very sticky and slightly difficult to work with at this stage, but if I were to pre-freeze these, you're going to see that it makes the next stage a whole lot easier. So into the freezer it goes to firm up while we prepare our barbecue sauce. We want a lot of layers of flavor for this barbecue sauce, so we're going to start with raw onions. Nothing special about this, peeled and rough chopped. That's it. We're going to set that to the side. You're going to see what we're going to do with that here in just a minute. In addition to the onions, we're going to add a little mango and some minced garlic. Mango's already been processed, so seed removed, skin removed, and all we have is the meat. Now, personally speaking, I think a mango habanero combination is absolutely amazing. We grow these peppers, and if today's recipe was going to be a personal batch, 100% for me, I would throw these peppers in it because I think it would give it a great spicy flavor, but it's not. We're going to be putting this on our menu for our customers, and they tend to get a little cranky when I start adding chocolate habanero to the dish. So for today's recipe, I'm not going to add it, but if you like spicy food, I would highly recommend it. Okay, let's begin. Little oil. In a pot, we're going to add our onions. First thing we're going to do is we're going to saute these onions until they are soft. That's all we want to do here. We don't really want a whole lot of color on the onions. We just want them slightly translucent. And as soon as that happens, you're going to add the mango and minced garlic. We're going to cook this for about 4 to 5 minutes. The heat currently is a medium heat, continually stirring. We just want to break down that mango a little bit, bring some of that flavor into that onion mixture. It looks absolutely perfect at this point. And what we're going to do now is take it off the stove and run this entire mixture through a blender. We're going to turn this into a puree, and that's going to be the base for our barbecue sauce. So I'm going to do that off camera, and this is what our puree now looks like. Onion, garlic, mango. It's got a beautiful yellow tint to it. Let's add the spices. We're going to add savory, black pepper, a touch of paprika, and you know I got to add just a tiny little bit of heat. So we've got cayenne pepper and a chipotle powder. Bringing in the chili powder and give it a mix. So we're just going to incorporate all of this. Currently the fire is on a medium low. Once that's all well incorporated, we can go ahead with the rest of the ingredients. Now we've got light brown sugar. You can add dark brown sugar if you like. A little honey. Oh, this smells so good right now. Okay, let's add some apple cider vinegar, and we're going to come back with some mustard. The link in the description box below will have a recipe for this barbecue sauce. Looks incredible, but we're not done yet. We've got one more ingredient, and that is ketchup. After we add our ketchup, we're going to cook this on a medium, and be aware that this mixture will splatter. So be sure to put a guard on top of your pot while this cooks, and you're going to let this cook for roughly an hour, stirring occasionally. It's going to bring all those incredible ingredients together. While this barbecue sauce is doing its thing, let's go ahead and get our patties ready. We're cooking these in the Smokin' It Smoker, and you're going to see why pre-freezing the patties, at least in my case, works perfectly. So we've got a nice frozen solid rib patty. Very easy to work with. I don't have to worry about, it being too sticky or it falling through the cracks. We're going to set that right on the grating. Now, the interesting thing about this particular technique is that as it thaws, it'll settle into the grating, which is going to give us those classic rib-like indentations, and you'll see what that looks like here in a minute. We're monitoring the temperature very carefully through this cook. We don't want to overcook these patties. So we're going to use the very tiny temperature probe from Smokin' It. Just set it right into the side of that. Perfect. All right. We're going to run a multi-step cook for this patty. The first step is going to be at a very low temperature, like 100 degrees. And that's, in essence, to thaw the patty. So the idea is that as the patty thaws, the weight of the patty pushes it down, and we're going to get those, like I said earlier, those indentations, those rib-like marks without having to do anything special. I am going to load up our pellets. We're using a combination of hickory and pecan wood. You don't need hickory and pecan. You could use your favorite smoking wood, maybe an apple or cherry or mesquite, whatever you'd like. But we're going to load that down and take a look at our cooking schedule. I'm using a convection smoker from Smokin' It. So we're going to turn it on, cut the convection to about 45%, 50%. That's going to get some air circulation inside. And as you can see right here, this is our multi-step. Step number 1 is 100 degrees for 30 minutes. That's, in essence, going to thaw our patty. Step number 2, the temperature is going to bump up to 125. We're going to keep it there for 1 hour. And at this point, we're going to be introducing smoke. Step number 3, the temperature is going to bump up to 150. And we're going to cook there until the food temp reaches 125 degrees Fahrenheit, at which point my phone is going to get a notification. At that point, we're going to slather them with barbecue sauce and then flip them. Step number 4, the temperature bumps up to 160, and it's going to cook until we get to an internal of 145. At this point, they're basically done, where we bump into step 5. The temperature goes down to 145. The unit becomes like a warming box, and at that stage, it is pasteurizing our sausage. So normally I'll only leave it in there for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll pull it out. So that's the multi-step. We're now going to close it down and let the process run. So look, if you don't have a digital smoker like this where you can program a series of steps, you're just going to have to very carefully manage the temperature. What we're looking for is a very nice, low and slow type of smoke. That's it. That's going to give us maximum flavor. All right, we're going to close it down. 30 minutes later, this is what our patties look like, and everything is thawed. Absolutely beautiful. So this is the benefit of having them frozen and then putting them on your grate. You don't have to mess around with the raw patties and all that stuff. All right, let's light them up. Hickory and pecan wood coming in. We're going to keep this nice steady stream of smoke. Right now it seems a little high, but after it gets going, it balances out quite a bit, much like this. And we're going to keep that steady stream of smoke going through the cooking process. I want a nice, beautiful, smoky flavor to these rib patties. All right, close them down. And the next time we check on them, which is right now, the alarm on my phone just went off. So these are currently at 125 degrees internal. So they're not quite done yet, but this is a great opportunity to hit them with a little bit of that honey mango chipotle barbecue sauce. So that's what we're going to do right here. And I'm not sure why I didn't turn the convection fan off while I'm filming this, but here in a minute I'll figure it out. Notice those rib marks. That's the gratings right there. So we didn't do anything. We didn't press them down or anything. That's just what naturally happened. Let's give these a quick little flip so you can see the other side. There it is. Absolutely perfect. All right, everything's been slathered up front and back. We're going to turn the smoke back on by turning up the air on the unit, on the Bella's cold smoke generator. And right now it's finishing the cycle. So the temperature's at 160 and it's going to cook till we get to an internal of 145. And that's where we're at right now. Our patties are officially done. This looks incredible. Very juicy. Loving the way that it smells. Woo! Can't wait to get into it. But we're not done yet, because now we have to build a bun for this sandwich. So let's start with a little warm milk into a KitchenAid stand mixer. Next, we're going to add some sugar, a little yeast, and whisk it all together. So what we want is we want that milk to get nice and frothy, that yeast to get incredibly active before we add the rest of our ingredients. After about 20 minutes or so, this is what it looks like. So now we're going to add some salt, and we're going to begin by adding flour. So the recipe is going to call for a specific amount of flour, and what I would suggest is maybe adding 75% of that flour to begin with. Give it a mix and just sort of see how it works out for you. You don't want it too dry and you don't want it too wet. And depending on where you live, you know, the climate, the altitude, things like that, all those factors determine how much flour you end up adding. With the dough hook attachment, we're going to start kneading the bread till it slowly starts to come together. It's still very, very wet. I think this is a good time to add our room temperature butter. So in with the butter. And you know what? While we're here, let's add a little more flour. I think after it was all said and done, I ended up adding 100% of what the recipe calls for. But like I said, start on the lower end and then just gradually add until you get to a nice smooth ball that's springy when you press on it. Right here. Looks like we're slowly coming together. And we are kneading this on a low. And once your dough ball starts to firm up, what I like to do is take it out of the mixer and then finish the process on the counter. You can continue mixing until you get a very springy, a very smooth dough ball. You could do that, but personally, I like to finish it on the counter just like this, and I feel like it gives me better control over what's going on. So we're going to form that dough ball. Look right here, nice and smooth. Give it a little press. It should bounce right back. Excellent. Okay, so we want to stick this back into the bowl, give it a little spritz with some oil, and let it double in size. Now, my kitchen's fairly warm, so it's not going to take very long, but you are going to want to cover this with some cling film and just let it sit. So this process could take anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. Covering with cling film, and let the rising begin. All right, 30 minutes later, this is what our dough looks like. Like I said, 30 minutes for me, it could be an hour for you. We're going to punch it down, get that air out of there. Punch, punch, punch. Very good. Let's get that back onto the table. And we're now going to form our loaves. So for what I'm going for, and this is a personal preference, I'm going to do roughly about 101 grams per loaf. And that's because we're doing a 6-ounce patty. If you're doing like an XL patty, like an 8-ounce or a 12-ounce patty, you might want to make your dough ball 120 or 150. But in my case, I feel 100 grams is going to be absolutely perfect. And so we're weighing each one of them out. 101 grams per loaf. Perfect. All right, to actually form the loaf, we're going to fold everything into the center, and then we are going to create a little rectangle. So smooth everything out with my fingers, and I don't want to make it too wide. So in this particular case, we'll only look at maybe 4 inches, 3.5 inches. Once we have our rectangle, we're going to start at the very bottom and make tight little rolls all the way to the top. Each one we're pinching as we're rolling. Notice that? Pinch as you roll all the way to the top, and then when you get to the very top, just pinch the seam onto the dough itself. That's going to seal it. So there's our seam. We're just going to give it a little pinch. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and pinch down the sides. There we go. And that's loaf number 1. Now, if you want, you could roll it, make it a little bit longer, but I feel like this is going to be perfect. It is going to rise, and so we can take that and move it to our resting tray. Let's go ahead and do one more. Fold everything to the center, just like that. Turn it over. And then now make your rectangle. Remember, not too wide. So in this case, we're probably looking at, you know, maybe 4 inches max, 3 inches max. Start at the bottom. Make tight rolls all the way to the top. Once you're done, pinch the crease onto the dough. Tighten up the edge. And seam side down, you're going to go ahead and place that onto your mat. All right. Very good. The last step, once we're done with this, is to let it rise one more time, and then we'll give it a bake. I'm going to give the tops of these just a little oil spritz so that the cling film doesn't stick to them here on this final rise. And we're looking for a double in size. So however long that normally takes, if your kitchen's warm, it could be 20 to 30 minutes. If it's kind of cold in your kitchen, it may take a little longer. We're going to give these an egg wash. And finally, coat them with a little sesame seed. You could do poppy seed, or you could do no seed if you want. It really, at this point, it's up to you. I'm also going to score the tops of these, just like that. and they are now ready for the oven. 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 to 25 minutes depending on your oven. This is what they're going to look like when they come out. They smell amazing, beautiful. We're going to let these cool just 1 second before we go ahead and toast them up and build ourselves the ultimate rib sandwich. It's finally time to eat. Our bread has been toasted with a little bacon fat, and let's build ourselves the rib sandwich, starting with the star of our show, the rib patty. Oh, wow. Right on top, just like that. Next up, classic ingredient, pickles. We're going to load it down. Put as much or as little as you like, and then some onion. Okay. This raw onion pickle combination is amazing. Little extra sauce on the plate. We're going to drizzle over the top. Oh, this smells so good. All right. Let's crown it with the top of our bun. And here we go. All right, guys. Oh, just quick little moment of silence. What do you guys think? In the comment section below, let me know. It smells absolutely amazing. This is going to get messy, I can tell you right now. The barbecue sauce, that smoky patty, the pickles and the onions, that bread. We did a little bacon fat toast. You could use butter or not. You can put mayo or whatever you want on it. I just kept it very simple. We did our chipotle honey mango barbecue sauce, onions, pickles, and then of course our rib patty. Oh gosh. Wow, I can't believe it. Let's just go into it. It smells amazing. Check it out. Wow, the patty is incredibly juicy, very tender, and ultra flavorful. I am so glad that we waited 4 years before making this, because honestly, I don't know if it had been the same 4 years ago. So much has happened with me and the craft and where I'm at today versus 4 years ago. Seasoning wise, sausage making, the whole thing. This is amazing. This is as if you were to take the McDonald's McRib and gourmet it. I mean, everything about this is next level. The bread's got just the right amount of chew. As far as the spice profile for this rib patty, spot on. I mean, this is exactly the flavor profile that I was going for. Just the right amount of each spice to elevate the pork, make it shine. You've got that beautiful pork belly, that fatty pork belly, but it's not overly fatty. The smoke is perfect. Doing a nice low and slow in the smoke in its smoker. I mean, this thing is absolutely next level. You could omit that step and do it in a barbecue pit. Now, it's going to give you a completely different flavor and delicious in its own right, but it's probably not going to be nearly as smoky. The texture of the patty is absolutely perfect. Incredibly tender, super juicy. We cooked it to an internal of 145. We let it hang there for about 5 minutes to pasteurize it, so we retain a lot of those juices. And that's one of the things that I love about the Smoke It Smoker. You can do that whole process low and slow. It'll take you a little while to get to 145. In the pit, it's a little different. You're going to have to really manage the temperature. Because the patty is so thin, you can get to 145 pretty quick. And so you can still retain a lot of those juices, but you're not going to be able to get that depth of flavor that you can when you cook it a little bit lower, a little bit slower. This may be the best sandwich I think I've ever made. Now, with that being said, I am biased to the rib sandwich, but this is ticking every single one of those boxes. And look, if you want to forgo the whole patty thing, you can turn this into a sausage, no problem. Follow the exact same recipe, stuff it into a casing, smoke it low and slow, and then build your sandwich. Barbecue sauce, pickles, onions. I bet you that would be equally good. A lot easier, certainly. Pickles, onions, bring the whole thing together, give you that classic, flavor. Seriously ridiculous. I hope you get a chance to make it. Another sandwich crossed off the list of my sandwich obsession. An absolute winner and a must make. Once again, recipe in the description box below. If you have any questions about this absolutely beautiful rib sandwich, let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed today's episode. And if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because I don't want you to miss a single episode. Thanks a lot for being here. We'll see you in the next one. I'm salivating just looking at this thing. This is so ridiculous. Home run out of the park. Now, you guys may say, yeah, of course you're going to say that. It's your recipe. It's your video. But I'm posting the exact recipe in the description box below so that you can make it for yourself. That's how confident I am that you're going to like it. Spice level, perfect. Sweetness, perfect. Savory. Oh, man. Seriously. Amazing.